Welcome to Beacon of Creation, a weekly podcast on game design through the lens of Magic the Gathering. I'm Tim.
And I'm Kenna, better known as KennaKhaos on the internet.
Great to have you on the pod, Kenna. I have to say, I first, saw your name or knew you were around when you submitted like a really good card for the last design challenge. I think it was Cover Fire. Is that right?
That was, in fact, the card.
Yeah, and that was a really sick card. And then you offered to be on the pod. I'm like, this is awesome. I get to have a person that I already know is sick at designing cards on a podcast where we're going to design some cards together.
Exactly, yeah. Hopefully it wasn't a fluke, you know? I'd like to think it isn't, but...
Oh, no! Yeah. So did you come over from Custom Magic or something like that? What other custom stuff you've been into?
I've been designing custom Magic stuff on and off for a decently long time. Ever since, like, maybe a year or two after I got into Magic.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't even from the Custom Magic Discord. I was just, like, browsing Magic podcasts one day. It's like, oh, Beacon of Creation, what's that? Awesome. And then I check it out and I'm like, yeah, this is the good stuff.
Well, I'm glad you're loving it. I guess the other piece that I want to kind of figure out before we get in here is how did you make the pack strike you, I guess? Like how did that become something that you became interested in?
Oh, it's just, I know, when I've been designing, I've had that classic problem of just like, I haven't really been able to make a coherent set. You know, being able to just have the willpower to like, in time to make like an entire set.
100 commons, 100 uncommons. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 80 commons, 101 uncommons, 50 rares, and then like 15 mythics or whatever the ratio is supposed to be for play boosters.
Yeah.
But You Make the Pack is just very good to just be able to design a single card, you know, keep the skill unlocked in your brain. And I think it's the same for the design challenges as well. So that's why I've been submitting into those two, I reckon.
Yeah. So the idea here behind You Make the Pack is that rather than, designing a whole set or even designing like trying to design all the commons for a set or trying to find a bunch of people to work with to make a set, we're just going to make one card at a time to fill out a pack of 15 cards. Let's all submit ideas, 8, 9, 10, 12 cards. Let's vote the one that we think is the coolest starting point. That's slot 1. We've already got slot 1 in this newest Make the Pack. All right, people looked at that and they're like, all right, that's a blue card. We'll get into it later, but that's a blue card. Let's submit some other stuff for other colors that like kind of overlaps, maybe doesn't overlap, things like that. Oh, okay, now we got a gold card. All right, so now we're going to have 2 cards. There's a third card, as we're recording this, the third card is being voted on. And then we'll probably shoot for is designing cards for that 4th slot. We're going to work today on making some cards that maybe can go into that 4th slot if we could predict what people might like here. Does that seem like a good...
That sounds like an amazing idea. Now, another thing about You Make the Pack is that it normally goes off of like a traditional booster pack, right? You're designing a certain amount of commons, certain amount of uncommons, a rare, maybe a list card, and a token, I believe it is, right?
Yeah. And at least in this pack, there's no enforcement of that, except that the voting tends to enforce it. So people tend to want a realistic pack, like that seems to be where voting heads. There's nothing to say that people can band together all say that, hey, we're going to have 11 rares in a pack. But people like to shoot for that like set-like feel. A lot of the submissions for You Make the Pack are going to be commons. We'll see some uncommons. I think an uncommon even got voted in. But we're trying to aim like common, uncommon rather than rare plus, unless we think we really nailed it. You know what I mean? Unless we're really feeling ourselves or we really are confident that we've got a sick idea that people are going to lock in as the rare for the pack.
Yeah, it's not very likely that the packs look like they're coming from a cube, right?
Yeah, it hasn't really happened. We've had some more specific ones where, hey, this time we're designing the common for one of these colors. This time we're designing the common for this color. But we don't have those rules this time around. This time it's open-ended. We have a lot of new people on the server, a lot of people jumping in and make the pack. So it's just submit anything that you think other people could get on board with and designing more cards for.
Shall we introduce the 2 designs that have already been designed for Pack 8?
Yeah, sure. Why don't you read the first one here?
Okay, so the first one is Manifest Wings. It's 1 blue for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has flying. And then it has an ability called Believe, which means that you can cast it from your graveyard for its Believe cost. If you do, it enters with a finality counter attached to a 1/1 colorless Glimmer enchantment creature token.
Yeah. All right. Well, so this is similar to other things that we've seen. This is a little bit like maybe like Job Select from the new Final Fantasy set, or Germs, or some of those other versions of that. This is kind of casting out of the graveyard, so it's a little flashbacky, but you don't pick it. You're not flashing back this aura to re-enchant a different creature. You're flashing back this aura to just become a creature itself, almost.
I think this mechanic very much reminds me of like a reverse bestow, right? Instead of... Actually, probably... No, it's much more similar to bestow than what I thought, because like bestow is normally you enchant it onto a creature, and then when that creature dies, you get a creature with the stats that was enchanted onto the original creature. But with this one, it's you enchant it onto a creature, and when it dies, it enters the graveyard, and then you bring it back as like an enchantment creature, if that makes sense.
Yeah, unlike bestow, where maybe bestow cards were costed such that like if you wanted to bestow +2/+2 and trample on a creature, it's going to cost you like 5 mana. With the upside that when that creature dies, you get a leftover guy that for free. Here, you don't get the leftover guy for free. You have to pay for the leftover guy. So the initial cost is cheap. It's just 1 mana to get +1/+1 and flying. But then that Believe cost is when you're paying extra to get like sort of a free bonus guy.
Exactly. I think it works much better in the early game than what bestow did. So that's the definite upside of Believe over that.
Yeah, a card like this I think has a lot of utility because of that. Like we've seen limited formats where just like a +2/+2 and flying enchantment has been like a pretty solid common. Sometimes there's risk, if you're just giving trample or something, maybe you don't want to spend a whole card on that. But putting flying on something that already has 3 power, giving it extra power, hitting for 4 in the air twice, the creature gets killed, hitting for 2 in the air a couple times. That's a plan. That's like a really reliable thing to aim for.
Exactly. Yeah, this just represents 2 evasive creatures in limited, which makes it very good just on the offset.
Yeah, absolutely. The bestow flying creature was like quite a good card in original Theros. And this, holds up to that too. And that was by Cord. Cord submitted that one.
Yes.
Our other card was submitted by Ignited, who's also running the You Make the Pack this time around. And it's called Dazzling Merchant. It's 1 red-green for a creature Fox Spirit at uncommon. So it's a 3 mana, and then it's a 1/3. So 3 mana, 1/3. It has haste. Whenever this creature attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on target mystical creature you control. So mystical, kind of like historic or kind of like outlaw, is a batch. And in this case, the batch means spirits, enchantments, and enchanted permanents are mystical.
Now, one thing before we get into the mechanics of this card is I absolutely love the flavor text on this card.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's dastardly simple to amaze the non-mags. Just a little quick sliver and flash powder will do the trick. It is...
Oh.
That's just banger flavor text.
Yeah, what's the world that you're getting off of this? That there are, street hustlers or something that are using their magic to impress people?
Exactly. I'm just getting like huge car salesman vibes from this.
Okay.
In just like the absolute best way possible.
Yeah, we got Dazzling Merchant, so it's someone trying to sell you something. All right. Yeah, and maybe part of what we want to do as we get close to brainstorming here is think of not just the mechanics that are being suggested, which are really clear here. Enchantments, enchant matters, enchanted, auras are really going to be important. And then spirits as well. Spirits get to join in that fun. But also, what flavor are we looking at? We've got maybe a city here. We've got, a city where there's different either factions or different casts of people. Some people can cast spells, some people can't.
Both cards do very much go on the flavor of believing, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
obviously Manifest Wings has the mechanic believe,
Hmm.
but also Dazzling Merchant is seeking to flavorfully have their customers believe that they are,
Hmm.
an amazing salesman
Yeah.
uh,
I could do anything.
that can do anything. Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. I think another piece to you make the pack can be like a real set will have more than one flavor kind of tent pole.
Hmm.
And we know one really clearly here. Mystical, enchanty, belief stuff, right? And those might be two different factions. Like the manifest wings here looks more like a angel paladin looking thing, whereas our Dazzling Merchant is more of a scamp. He's more of a little goofball. So those might already be kind of different factions, different pieces. But it's probably true in a real set you would have like one or two other sort of poles that aren't like just enchantments, or somehow they have to interface differently with how enchantments or other things are in the world here.
Yeah, very fair. That is a mistake that I made with giving feedback for pack two, or for slot two, I reckon.
Hmm. Like you wanted everything to be enchantment, or
No, it was just kind of like I wasn't really considering the fact that, there would need be more than one flavor tent,
oh,
which
okay,
is
yeah,
something that Red Bay really helped me out on.
awesome. Yeah, I think that's the other kind of thing that's emerged out of You Make the Pack that's really, I don't know, heartwarming to me, I guess, is the how collaborative it gets. It used to just sort of be, hey, throw your card in there, one of them's going to win. Let's, and then do it again. And now it's like, hey, let's have 50 messages in between each pack. Multiple people are providing feedback on all the cards. And this is a way to really hone in on what everyone's interested in, what's motivating everyone, and then also guiding people who are trying this for the first time.
Hmm. But yeah, shall we enter our first brainstorming session
Let's
for
do
what
it.
could potentially be in slot four of this pack?
I love this. Yeah, we don't know what's going to get voted in for slot 3, so we may or may not come up with an idea that's too close to one of those. Have you already voted? Do you have a favorite from slot 3? Maybe we'll read it out to
I have
just
a favorite from slot three,
okay.
not counting my own, obviously.
Okay.
It's probably Countless Reasoners.
Oh, okay.
We'll read out Countless Reasoners, I reckon. So it's a 3-mana 2/2 Spirit Advisor, 2 and a blue. When it enters, each player mills 3 cards, and a deck can have any number of cards named Countless Reasoners.
Hmm.
And then it melds with a card named Questions Unanswered, which we don't know what it does
Oh.
yet. And then when it melds, it becomes a 5/5 with flying lifelink. And
Oh.
whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw that many cards.
Oh my
And if you
god.
draw a card while your library has no cards in it, you win the game instead.
Yeah, so we got the bottom half of a card. Well, we got a whole front card, right? The Countless Reasoners, that's a whole complete card. And then we got the back half of a meld card. But it's a 5/5 flying lifelink, draw a bajillion cards. If you're drawing too many cards, you just win instead.
Exactly. It's a mill engine followed up by like a mega lab man kind of effect.
Yeah. A lab man that can also just like take you on his back and carry you over the finish line. This is like a you make the pack thing where, oh, if we vote this in, then we gotta have the rare slot B questions unanswered. People are gonna be submitting like 6 different versions of that meld card.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, like I'd be very concerned if there's like another common that was called question that's unanswered, and then you have both of them meld up, and it just becomes that big beep, that big boomstick, you know?
Yeah, that is kind of funny. Like, even if it cost like 12 mana or something to meld them, it would still be unusual as a common, like as a common that somehow assembles to draw you, 5 extra cards a turn.
And gain you 5 life, and it's a flyer as well.
Yeah. Yeah, stops the attack for a turn for sure. I think the other thing that's kind of interesting here that I like is the flavor of the Countless Reasoners here is like we've got this whole kind of army of people who are in a library, like these ghosts that are just working in the library. They've already died or whatever, but they still need answers to these questions. And so you've got a deck. Yeah, a deck could have 15 Countless Reasoners. Because there's some question. The questions that are unanswered are so important, are so gigantic that people are devoting their afterlife to it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I want to do the question unanswered. Let's do it.
All right, all right, all right.
Now, first question: is it within the rules to have a meld spell have the other half of a meld be an instant sorcery spell?
Oh. I don't think it's happened so far, for sure. I think we have 7 meld cards, all of which are all permanent so far. Or 7 meld final cards, on what to call that, big cards. I'm pretty sure you could say something, and if not, you just do an extra rules edition. You could say something like, draw 5 cards, gain 5 life. If you own and control a creature named Countless Reasoners, then you may exile them, then meld them into whatever we want to name this guy that answered all our questions. That feels reasonable to do. It's just like part of the, if you have the other guy as you cast the spell, then you get to meld.
That is very, very fair.
So what I'm looking for is like, what's a cool enough rare or whatever? Are you feeling rare, or do you want to try to get us down?
I'm definitely feeling rare for this. Okay. What is the question that cannot be answered? I feel like asking that question is out of flavor for this card. To be honest. Like, it's a question unanswered, and we've got to figure out what the question is. But what if the question itself can't be answered because no one knows what the question is to begin with?
Well, no one knows what the question is when you cast it, but when you meld it, there's some answer, right? There's a we're gonna have to name a creature on the other side.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I don't know, because the backside, all the rules text is basically locked in, so our job is just to name it on the rear of the card here.
I think our job is also to balance it as well.
Oh, that's true.
Because I think the meld condition needs to be somewhat hard to do. Because you are melding into a 5/5 flying lifelink.
Yeah, there's a fun aspect to this, which is different from almost all the other meld cards. Most of the meld cards are like rare mythic pairs. And because of that, like they just like never really happen in limited, and they happen for fun in EDH once in a while. This is something that, like, if you grab questions unanswered, you will see a couple Countless Reasoners in your draft or whatever. This is something that is like an all format possibility. So, we also have to, aim our power level accordingly.
So in that case, it should either probably be like an instant or sorcery that has some sort of a conditional effect on it, or maybe like an enchantment that you need to do a quest for.
Yeah, the enchantment quest thing also seems pretty fun. I don't know which way to go. Now, we talked about the instant sorcery thing, so now I'm sort of catnipped on that one. I'm really interested in that. But I think the enchantment wave would give us a more traditional Magic card, for better or worse.
That is very fair. I'm just trying to think of like a condition that you could do for an instant or sorcery that would have it be something that isn't just like, hey, when you cast a spell, you exile it and meld it,
Yeah, well, what I would like to do is something that cares about you playing at probably several Countless Reasoners over time. The zone I think I would like to stay away from is like turn 3 Countless Reasoners, turn 4 unanswered questions, meld them. Like I don't think that's what we're shooting for. We got to be digging through the books and really looking for things.
What if it didn't necessarily care about the number of Countless Reasoners on the battlefield, but cared about the number of Countless Reasoners in your graveyard?
Yeah. So like a basic thing might be, hey, this spell costs 2 less for each Countless Reasoners you control, and then each Countless Reasoner card in your graveyard. So if you had one of them, it's really hard to cast this 10-mana spell or whatever. But if you had one on the battlefield, you had 4 in your graveyard who have been doing the noble work of trying to answer the unanswerable question. Now your spell is getting more and more approachable.
Yeah. Another one might be like, as an additional cost to cast this spell, exile any number of Countless Reasoners from your graveyard, or as an additional cost to cast a spell, you may exile any number of exile like X amount of Countless Reasoners from your graveyard.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, something that's encouraging us to play to actually live up to the any number in your deck. Like in my limited deck, if I could get 7 of them, I'm going to be, in heaven. Or, I'm playing my standard deck or my, casual deck or whatever. My jumpstart deck, the pack comes with 7 of them in there and, I'm going nuts.
Now, I'm feeling like maybe a 3 should be the number we could be going towards. Not only is like 3 just like a pretty clean number, but also it kind of calls upon things like Alternate Thrice Cold.
Yeah, Alternate.
Where that's like, hey, yeah, you do the thing 3 times, you get your big benefit off of it.
Yeah. Would you lean, which way are you leaning? Instant sorcery.
I'm thinking I'm leaning sorcery here.
Yeah.
It could be a white sorcery, but having it be Azorius just feels a bit cleaner to me.
Yeah, white doesn't have a ton of just expensive sorceries. Like that's not usually the thing that white does a lot of, which might mean that it's an opportunity, but also might get our degree of difficulty up a little bit. It might be a little harder.
Plus, this card kind of wants to be playing blue anyway in it. Like, you're not going to be very likely to play the big white sorcery spell without having the Countless Reasoners in your deck, or at least having an opportunity to like, try to draft them.
Yeah. A big white spell, I guess the ones that come to mind would be board wipes, which I'm not totally into here. I don't think that's very questions unanswered. There are a bunch of kind of EDHy white spells that are like, bring a bunch of stuff back from your graveyard, which might fit here.
That's... Okay, a Mass Resurrect effect might work. All the Countless Reasoners come back, they mill each player for a whole lot of cards, and then if you... And,
okay.
And then it's either they deck themselves or you end up decking yourself much more quickly, and then you just manage to win the game off of that.
Yeah, because you kind of don't mind either way. Does my, super spirit come back with 15 cards in my library or 0 cards in my library? Either way, I'm happy. Because I can either just grip 5 more cards or I can just lab man and, win that way too. I guess questions unanswered also feels like I guess it could be either a big or a small spell. I guess it could be either way. I was starting to think that maybe questions unanswered is like a little bit of investigation, but it could also be a big question. So yeah, we could kind of go either way.
Yeah. I think the big thing that we've got to ask for this question is if you're doing the thing where you need to work for the meld side, what turn is that fair to be able to be doing it on?
Yeah. If I've got one of these in my deck, one of the tricky things about playing with this card and trying to assemble this meld is that my Countless Reasoners are shredding more cards than I'm drawing. So I'm probably as likely or more likely to accidentally mill my questions unanswered than I am to actually draw it and then cast it at the right time.
Okay, that's a pretty good thing to work off of. So maybe it's a spell that you can interact with in the graveyard in some sense.
Yeah, we've seen a lot more designs in the last couple of years that are, do a thing up front, do a cheap thing up front, and then do an expensive thing later by exiling this from your graveyard.
Okay. In that case, we probably want it to be like maybe a cheap effect that works with the Countless Reasoners, but then you can exile it from your graveyard. What if it was like a rebuy effect for small creatures, like a unearth kind of effect?
Yeah, and I think that would fit. Hey, I've been up so late trying to solve these questions that I came back from the dead to solve them some more. Like that, I don't know, that's preposterous, but that actually feels like the vibe of these Reasoners, that we're trying to, we've got this white spell that says like, no, keep working. I know you died, but you're coming back. You're researching more. Because you could have like a 2-mana, 3-mana spell that can bring back a creature that costs, 3 or less. That's a spell we've seen, a sorcery we've seen.
Yeah. We've seen it in white as well, so that works as well. And then you just have like a cost on the like a cost. You pay an amount of mana, exile it and a countless reasoners from the battlefield, and you meld them together. So if we're doing like an unearth effect, probably do like you pay 2 mana, maybe, or like 2 or 1 mana, and you return like a creature with a certain CMC value.
Yeah. Here are a couple recent ones we've had just to kind of calibrate. We've got Return Triumphant, which is 1 and a white. This is from Wilds of Eldraine. 1 and a white sorcery. Turn target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Create a young hero role token attached to it. We've got Recommission. I think that's maybe the one you were thinking of. 2 mana again, sorcery. Return an artifact or a creature. And then also, hey, give it a +1/+1 counter. And those are both commons. So if we are shooting for a rare...
Well, we've got Helping Hand as an uncommon, which was just 1 mana to return target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped.
1 mana, just bring a thing back. Okay. We already have kind of 3-ish lines of text just returning a thing from the graveyard to the battlefield. And it's going to take us, 3 lines of text to meld. I would like something else, but I'm worried that we're already getting low on space on our card here.
We could just have it be outside of its ability to meld with countless reasoners. We could just have it be an effect that is a better Helping Hands. Like perhaps it returns the creature from the graveyard to the battlefield untapped.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But like, it wouldn't be the most exciting thing to put on the rare. But then you've got the idea of just like, you've got the meld part on there, which could be like, the rare factor of the card.
Another thing we've seen at rare brought back is a card that I think about a lot, which was 2 white mana for an instant. Choose up to 2 target permanent cards that were put in the battlefield this turn, return them to the battlefield tapped. So let's get two things that died this turn back. But if we did like maybe 2 like white, bring back 2 creatures with power 2 or less or something, or something in there, getting 2 little guys back, that would give it a lot of utility overall. That would make it potentially quite explosive for us and get it up to that rare level.
Okay, I like that. Maybe brought back isn't the best comparison to do it based on. It might be best to do it like a Scout the Survivors effect, which was you return like a number of creatures with totaling mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, and then you have some sort of upside to it.
Yeah. Scout for Survivors. Yeah, I played with this card a little bit. That's 3 mana. Get 3 mana's worth of creatures back and then put some counters on them.
Yes.
Yeah, so something like if we just got 4 mana's worth of creatures, do we need it to be 3 or less to stay white, or can we go up to 4 if we need to? 4 powers worth of creatures.
Well, Scout the Survivors is a better version of Patch Up, which was just return up to 3 target creature cards with total mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So, like, we could do a white card where it's like 4 target creature cards with total power 4 or less from the graveyard to the battlefield. That could be something we could do.
Yeah, that's getting there for me. That's seeming just right. Because that's still kind of 3 lines-ish, which leaves us enough room for our meld magic at the bottom there. And then I think the flavor is still working for me, where the questions aren't answered, so the spirits are staying around. They're still looking around. They're still researching. They're still trying to find the information they're looking for. They're still trying to find the tomb they're looking for, or whatever else.
Plus, this also gives you the utility of, hey, you've already milled a whole bunch of stuff with your countless reasoners.
Yeah.
Maybe you're returning 1 countless reasoner and then like 1 or 2 other creatures as well.
It's fun with like a lot of low power creatures, so it's like potentially a pretty explosive card as well.
100%, yeah. Like it's potential 3 mana return 4 creatures from your graveyard to the battlefield. That feels nice.
Yeah.
But for costs, are we thinking that maybe 1 white might be a good cost for it?
1 white, yeah. It feels a little more juice than what was it, Scout for Survivors, and we reflect that in being a little more committed to white.
Very fair.
All right, so I'll just read one or two of the existing meld cards so we can kind of get in the headspace. I've got Urza here, who melds with my Stone of Weakstone. So he's got a 2-. We don't have to worry about it. He's got a 2-line, clause on him already that makes your stuff cheaper. But then he has 7 mana, and then the way that they word it, which might be close to what we're looking for. If you both own and control Urza, Lord Protector, and an artifact named the Milestone of the Weakstone, exile them, then meld them into Urza Planeswalker, activate only as a sorcery. So we need to be saying something more like, exile this from your graveyard. If you control a blah, 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 exile them, something, something.
I would probably word it something more like, if you both own and control a card named Countless Reasoners, exile this and that creature and then meld them together. Or then meld them into whatever we decide to call the...
Cool spirit guy.
The cool spirit guy, exactly, the Elder Spirit.
All right, I'm going to try to... Or it sounds like you're typing it too, but...
Yeah, I've got my MSC up at the moment.
Oh, okay.
What I was thinking is that, like, we could word this in such a way that either it doesn't exile from your graveyard if the Countless Reasoners get removed in response, or it is exiled from your graveyard if the Countless Reasoners get removed in response.
My opponent has like a Ghost Vacuum or something, and I need a chance of playing around it, yeah. Kind of what you're asking is, should the exile be on the cost side? So the cost you'd have to pay before activating the ability, which is harder to interact with. Or should the exile be kind of in the body of the ability so that like you activate this ability and then your opponent can like, well, not Bajuka Bog, but can do something to zap your graveyard in response to you trying to activate this?
I mean, yeah, both have different ways that they could be interacted with, right? If it exiles as a cost, and when the ability resolves, you suddenly don't have a card named Countless Reasoners, then that card is now exiled for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Whereas if it exiles as a part of the actual effect, and your opponent has some sort of graveyard hate, then it also fails.
All right. Well, I think one of the kind of funny things about this is that, like, on a lot of episodes, we just say, pick either one. It's cool. But no, we got to be serious. We're locked in. We got to make the coolest possible card we can. I don't know. Sorry.
I think no, 100%. I very much share that. I think that in this set, it's more likely that there's going to be graveyard hate.
Yeah.
Since we already know that there's going to be the believe mechanic in there.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to have this exile when it happens and have the point of interaction be if your opponent exiles this card from your graveyard in response to you paying the cost.
Oh, okay. So you want, hey, I have to exile this white card. And then my opponent, if they have it, they can zap the blue card before the meld happens. And if they do that, they've stopped it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's the easier way to interact it in... Yeah, I think that's the easier way to interact it with it in limited.
Yeah. Because this is like... We like this as an effect that you activate from your graveyard. The ability, it's not even a spell. Like, your opponent can't counter this activation with a normal counter spell or whatever. Their only chance is to zap it in the graveyard with, like, one of their, anti-graveyard cards. And we want to give them a chance to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much the brainstorming for the first card done.
Yeah.
I think we just got to figure out the cost of that.
The cost and the cool name.
And the cool name, exactly.
What is the answer they're seeking? This feels like it's the hardest part to me. I don't know.
I feel like maybe we don't put the responsibility of coming up with a cool name on this episode of the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Because I want to see a lot of cool names for this card. I don't want to see one cool name of this card repeated over and over again.
What do you mean by that? Sorry.
Like, I don't want us, like, talking on here to influence too much about what this card becomes if it were to be voted in slot 3,
Oh. You're trying to make sure that like our ideas aren't so good on this podcast that we blank out all the other ideas.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Sorry. We got to be prepared to be just like world-class designers accidentally, where we accidentally just destroy the discussion here.
True. The cost is definitely something we can figure out, though.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
How about 4 white and a blue, and that's the cost to activate this effect, and then you can only activate as a sorcery.
So I'm going to be paying 6 mana, and then to talk about it kind of generally, I need to have another researcher in my graveyard. What was our final thing there?
You need to have a research on the battlefield.
On the battlefield. Okay, so I need to have a researcher on the battlefield. I guess if I think that I, am going to try to set this up, I want to play like a reasoner beforehand, or I bring a reasoner back with this card, right? And then my opponent has like maybe a turn cycle to get their orders together before I pop this. And then if I guess I would need 3 mana to cast Questions Unanswered, and then 6 more mana if I want to try to one turn that. If I need 9 mana if I want to try to bring a reasoner back and then activate the same turn.
I mean, like, if you've got 9 mana, I feel like you're allowed to be able to close out the game with a big flyer that you worked well for.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not against it. I'm just talking through it. Because this is a game ender level. It doesn't have any self-protection. Like, it doesn't have ward. It doesn't have anything like that. But in all other respects, this is a card that is going to, blow up a game or bring an end to a game at least.
Exactly. Yeah. If your opponent doesn't have removal and or you have protection for this, it's very game breaking. Very back breaking for the opponent.
Yeah, very back breaking. Yeah, which is fine. We're saying 9 mana. Yeah. You can break your opponent's back, I guess. Okay, so you're reading the this side for the first time. You're looking at this card. You don't have any believers yet, or not believers. You don't have any reasoners yet. And you're looking at this card, and you're like, I'm going to spend 3 mana. I'm going to get like a couple little guys back from my graveyard. This seems great. I'm snapping this card even before I know whether or not I'm going to try to meld. And then maybe the draft will tempt me into picking up some reasoners because I wanted to live this meld dream. Or maybe I'm a black-white, attrition deck. And then this card is just good in my deck. It's a good rare. I'm happy to open it. I open a pack 3. I'm still happy to see it.
I'm feeling like that's a pretty sweet design.
Alrighty. Yeah. All right. If you're ready to lock it in, I'm ready too.
I'm ready to lock it in.
All right. Cool. All right, and then maybe we'll try a second card. Do you have time for that, or?
I've got time for a second card. Let's go for it.
So for a second card, I think I probably want to aim for a common this time. Common's kind of the lifeblood of a lot of the You Make the Pack submissions. Ideally, I would look for something that could be that extra flavor component to the world here. Something that's not just, spirits and people who love spirits and people who scam people because people like spirits. At least the flavor to me of the first 2 cards, we've got kind of like a cleric angel thing, and then we've got like a little wizard who lives in a city, this little fox guy. Does that seem about right?
That seems about right there.
Yeah, so maybe what else about this city? What other ways could we go with this city to lure people in?
Something that's been done in like Magic in a very, very distant past, but something which I think is kind of tangential to Dazzling Merchant.
Yeah.
Is moving more into like that kind of mercantile space.
Yeah. Okay. What is it? A card or effect or something that is like emblematic of merchants who are like part of the legitimate merchants, like the trade or, the trade fleet or whatever. Maybe they're corrupt. Maybe they're organized. Maybe they're, selling illegal goods, or the people who are producing those goods, something like that.
Perhaps like a poisoned good.
Oh, okay. So I'm like taking advantage of someone. I'm giving them something that they're not expecting. Whether this is like a token or just a mechanic on a creature.
What if it was like an effect that symbolized like your essence being like stripped away from you.
Oh, okay. Ooh, okay. So we're going extreme here. We're saying like, yeah. All right. I like this. Yeah.
You've been scammed to the nth degree.
Yeah. 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 It's just like the, you've been kidnapped and we took your kidney or whatever.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't know if that actually happens, but that does seem horrifying.
There is in fact a big problem with organ trade
Oh,
in a
okay.
lot of different parts in the world.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so sorry to be a downer, but yeah, it is definitely a thing that happens.
Maybe I'll stay away from the organs and stay with spirit. Maybe spirit is a little less a little less real.
Hmm.
Um, I guess like something is it the next creature? Am I choosing a creature? Like kind of a usual thing. We've had like the black combat trick. Hey, one creature gets -1/-1, another creature gets +1/+1, something like that. I could kill a little creature and put a counter on somebody.
If you were doing like a small, like a target creature gets -1/-1, and then
Hmm.
like put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, that's very much a. That would be like the idea of like, hey, we're doing a card which is like depicting like a pickpocket.
Hmm. 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 You want something a little bigger.
I'm feeling a little bigger. I'm feeling
Okay.
yeah. This does kind of fail on the idea of moving away from enchantments, but we could flavorfully move it away.
Okay.
What if it was a large removal spell that exiled the enchantments attached to the creature?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that actually would make for like a good staple common where it's like mostly a removal spell, but it's a removal spell that is makes the most sense in this set specifically. Because, we've seen like the red card, hey, deal damage to a creature and then destroy an equipment attached to them. We've seen that kind of card. If we like destroy a creature and then, exile the enchantments attached to them, in an average set, that's kind of meaningless. How many auras are going to be attached to creatures in, Final Fantasy or whatever?
Yeah.
Not many. But in this set, that could actually happen. And it could actually be like pretty important that you did that. That flavor almost feels like in original Innistrad, there was this card. It was very gory art, so I don't know if I'm looking for gore, but there was this card called Victim of Night that destroyed something that wasn't a vampire, werewolf, or zombie. But the flavor here, I still remember a million years later, which is Olivia Valdaren, the like vampire queen, saying, "Don't touch a drop, not yet. I want to watch this so-called Slayer's last crisis of faith."
Mm.
She's going to, hunt down a paladin or whatever, and then not only kill them, but also watch them like not believe anymore, basically. Like,
I am looking at that card right now. I reckon the flavor for that is on point. Yeah, maybe a little bit less
yeah,
gruesome for this for this
sure. Yeah.
set, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm very much enjoying that. Now, if you want to go with like removing the belief, this is probably like a black common, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It could be destroy any creature. We could limit it in some way. A lot of the like 4 mana black common removal spells have been good lately. Like the Sephiroth one in Final Fantasy was played a lot. Grav Kill and Edge of Eternity was played a lot. And those only had like a little bit of upside. So like the default for me would be before we start moving it around, 3 in a black instant.
Hmm.
Destroy target creature and exile any or is attached to it, I guess.
Okay, yeah, that works because grab kill was like 4 mana, and then you get to exile creatures and also any other type that matters in the set.
Yeah, like a spaceship or whatever, spacecraft. Yeah.
Yeah, or like maybe you destroy a creature, and then if one or more auras would enter the graveyard from the battlefield this turn, you exile them instead. That way, if you're managing to like trade off with another enchanted creature or something like that, you're able to also affect those auras as well.
So you want to say like until end of turn, if an aura would be put into a graveyard, exile it, something like that.
Yeah. And then after the until end of turn effect, it could just say destroy target creature.
Yeah, yeah. I think the ordering within the aura won't leave the battlefield until this kill spell finishes resolving. So I think we're good ordering it either way. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know why I cared about getting the destroy part first, but
No, I definitely do see it as well. The reason why I put like the until end of turn effect, or at least
yeah.
I thought, yeah, let's put that first, is because it makes the card a little bit easier to understand, I guess. Like, I could definitely see people being confused, like, oh, I destroy the creature, and because the spell isn't like resolved yet, then the aura is still into the graveyard for some reason.
Oh, okay. If we are shooting for common, that's like kind of a lot of text on a common. Maybe it's okay, but I think I might like the shorter word. I think your wording is certainly cooler. And then if you do set up that play where you kill two belief creatures at the same in the same, I block a belief creature and then kill spell the other one. I get to, remove both auras from the graveyard. That would feel really satisfying to do.
I think maybe the until end of turn effect, I think that's kind of like borderline on a common. The thing I'm worried about here is the complexity of this card being an instant, perhaps, if it were to go for that wording.
The until end of turn one.
Yes.
The until end of turn one might be a good rider on like a board wipe. I'm going to kill a bunch of creatures and I want to make sure that they don't come back.
Okay, that's very fair.
That could even be, if it's on a board wipe. I don't know if I'm trying to submit a board wipe here, but if we also want to put a board wipe in our back pocket, if any enchantment would hit the graveyard this turn, exile it. If those are also dying to my board wipe, those are also disintegrating. Like we're destroying all belief that exists here.
I think it's definitely a cool idea for a board wipe. I also like the idea of designing a common here, since we have already designed a high rarity card for the other one.
Yeah. So I think for me personally, if I was submitting this, I would go for the like destroy target creature, exile all auras attached to that creature. Like that's what I'm doing. That's like, 12 words or whatever. That still feels very common. You can believe that it's going to matter in limited. Like the engrav kill, do I exile spacecraft with that? Absolutely I do. That is not wasted text. If I'm playing Final Fantasy, I cast Light of Judgment, the burn spell. Am I going to destroy some equipments with that? Absolutely I am. I'm going to kill a creature and blow up its weapon. And here I'm going to kill a creature and exile its little angel that it's on its shoulder. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think you're very right with that.
Okay.
I think the question here is how are we costing this effect?
Dude, what's your guess? What are you thinking?
Well, I've just got the baseline 3 and a black here.
Yeah.
At instant speed.
Yeah.
I mean, could we cost it down? Do we need to like make it more black by having it like be double pip black? Probably not.
Yeah, I used to think that these 4-mana black kill spells were like too crappy, but I've just been playing both the recent ones so much that I am happy enough in limited just it being 3 and a black.
But like any deck can play a 3 and a black spell. Not many decks can play a murder,
Yeah, I guess that's true. Like maybe that's if you're late in designing your set, you're balancing the limited for your set. You're saying like, are there too many 3-color decks that are stealing all the removal from the black decks? Oh, let's make it a double pip murder style card. In Edge of Eternity, that's not a problem. There's not a lot of not as many multicolored decks. So having, this be splashable is, more of a feature than a detriment. Yeah, I think 3 and a black instant. I think I want to figure out some flavor here. We might even have some room for some flavor text. So if we've got a little bit of time here, maybe that's what I want to spend a couple minutes on.
That was definitely going to be my next question here. So, what are we going to start off with first? The flavor text or the name of this?
Yeah, we're trying to conceive of who is hunting down believers, right? Is this like a random act? Like, is this just like a cleric happened to go down the wrong alley and they got jumped? That's a starting point. But we could get more world building-y by saying like, oh, there's this other group on this plane. What are their motivations? I don't really know. Maybe the merchants are kind of mad that there are all these believers that are like getting too uppity, becoming too powerful. And so they're starting to finance, some political assassination kind of stuff.
I'm definitely liking the idea of there being like a merchant faction, or like a faction that is like ideologically against the belief system, maybe for market-based reasons.
Yeah, like when we've had merchants somewhat recently as Orzhov, which is like very religion based, right? So to have like that split in two in this set, hey, there are the believers and then there are the merchants, and they're not the same. That's going to maybe be distinctive enough.
Yeah. See, when I'm looking at Victim of Night, I'm thinking maybe it might be nice to show or to describe the effects of what this kill spell has on a person.
Yeah. So this is like the flavor of this card is like you're dying, but even worse than dying, your belief is going away. The Cathar on Victim of Night is like, well, I'll die in battle heroically any day of the week. Like that's what I swore to do. But that I'm being tortured to death is like making me question. And this is dark, but it's a kill spell.
It's a kill spell. It's allowed to be dark.
Yeah, so maybe something like loss of faith or whatever. Maybe not that exact name is sort of the name of the card.
It kind of goes back on that, like goes back on the law of Theros, where belief is like a magical, is like a thing that gives tangible power to a society. So maybe people are being killed in this way because it makes their faction less powerful overall.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess another thing that we could do, one thing that I'm trying to keep in mind these days when I work on commons or like other cards where it's a simple mechanic to it, right? Is the flavor doesn't have to exactly match the steps of the rules of the card. Like if we want to say this is just a card about an important person losing their faith, like that's the main flavor beat. And that they're dying as well, like is true, but is not the focus of the card. It's not them being stabbed in the picture. It's a spirit leaving their body. It's the angel being shattered. Like that's the true tragedy, or like depicting both of those things dying at the same time. Like maybe I do want to stab, maybe a stab entering the cleric, and then a spiritual stab entering the angel at the same time, or something like that.
So we could have this be like a story spotlight card kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that could even be true. Yeah. Yeah. So it's like a end of faith or something. End of mass. End of
Like something I've kind of just drafted up. It's like just nice, short, sweet, shiny. As she did not die. They did.
Oh, 10 out of 10, lock it in.
10 out of 10, lock it in?
Yeah.
Nice.
That's amazing. You really nailed it. Yep, that flavor text is perfect.
Cool.
I guess if we want to try to name the phenomenon that these angels or whatever they are, we don't really know that yet, right? No, like our one card has a picture, a glimmer of hope lifts the fallen. So like a lights out or extinguish or something, the opposite of something lighting up. Yeah.
Like a dim effect.
Yeah.
Maybe it could be like called dim faith or something along the lines of that. Let me get up a thesaurus right now.
Oh hell yeah! Let's do it. What other words for dim? We've got turn off. We've got quench. We've got douse. Douse might be okay.
I think I like douse here. Let me just double check I spelt it correctly on the test card. Yes, at least for the Australian spelling I have.
Douse is not a word that I ever type in my life, so
I don't know. Maybe the Americans will like view the test card when I like post it to you and it comes out with the episode, and I'll be like, "Oh, that's not spelled correctly."
I would love to find out that we bothered having a different spelling for douse. So douse is douse enough? Do we want to douse?
I think maybe douse faith.
Yeah, douse faith. Yeah. Douse
Or
faith.
maybe we change the tense on douse, so we do like doused faith.
Doused. That's a good idea. I don't think I've ever heard the word doused ever used. So it's like, it's a little alien to me. I don't know. With kill spell, we want to say like guy was stabbed. Like, maybe when I see doused, like I'm like, they're a little damp. You know what I mean? No, they were killed. I like the douse idea because you douse candles. There's candles in the art for the flying spell. So I think all that is good. Somehow when it went to doused, I don't know.
That's very fair. I thought it needs to be past tense because the flavor text is also past tense.
Oh.
But also, I think might be something. I think it might be the art that needs to carry the idea that no, this isn't just a fella getting damp. This is a bit more than that.
Maybe if we're sticking with candles, like faith extinguished. Is that close? Or you're loving douse? You're loving douse.
I like extinguished more than doused.
Yeah.
I like it in the other order, so maybe like extinguish faith.
Yeah. I'm happy either direction there.
I'll read out what I've got at the moment on my MSC. Extinguish faith. 3 and a black for an instant. Destroy target creature, then exile all auras attached to that creature.
Yeah.
And then the flavor text is she did not die, they did.
Love it. Slam it.
Slam
Beautiful.
it.
Yeah.
Lock it in.
Yeah, I'm loving it. We nailed it. All right. This is great. Like I feel like we started to explore a little bit more of the world. We're giving some hints. We didn't name the cool guy.
I reckon we can keep the potential card name up for interpretation because I feel like that if it gets submitted into slot 3, there's going to be a lot of people going at it for slot 4. So,
alrighty, great. Well, that was really fun. I always love a little brainstorming on the podcast. So, it takes. I try to tell people it takes like 20 minutes to design a card. It doesn't take 2 minutes. Like people always want it to be fast. But making a real card, 20, 30, 40 minutes, that's what you're talking here. And we got it on the pod. We're capturing, we're practicing, we're working together.
Exactly.
And yeah, hoping to see people collaborate, continue to collaborate, and you make the pack. I don't think I can stop people from collaborating. They're loving it. They're absolutely diving into it.
No, they're going to collaborate whether or not you like it or not, Tim.
Yeah. I created this event, but it's no longer mine. It's sort of got a life of its own and its own kind of style to it. But before we get out of here, though, I like to remind people of the other stuff they can do. If you want to also get involved in some other events on the server, another one that you can jump into is our kind of legacy cube challenge here, where we are asking people to submit a green-white card that would fit in legacy cube, like in like really high-powered cube. Green-white is like a long-suffering gold column in legacy cubes. We're asking you to kind of expand your mind. And we've been getting to some good ones, but what we're going to do here is we're going to bring on a guy who has their own legacy cube, and they're going to evaluate these submissions. Could these make the cut? What would allow these cards to make the cut? And let me tell you, designing a card that's like a 9.5 or a 10 out of 10 across Magic history really fights against a lot of designer instincts. Like it's really hard to push past that normal ceiling that we give ourselves.
Very, very true. It's very much the element of like you are on a very thin line when it comes to balance. And you could very easily go over the edge, but you need to get as close to it as possible.
Oh man, you really got to be dangling one of your feet over the edge for this to really hit the target, which is just an unusual thing. Do you have any green white cards you've enjoyed in the past? Anything you that's up your alley that you'd love to see power maxed?
See, I'm a Watch Wolf kind of person.
Oh, okay.
But obviously, if you power max a Watch Wolf, it just becomes an incredibly ridiculous magic card.
We actually have gotten a submission in line with that. Pat sent us Earth and Forest. That's one of the submissions. We'll be talking a bit more in the podcast, but they just said, green, white, you get a 10-10. Vanilla. Which, would that be good or not? I don't know. We're going to have to break it down, but that's our powered up Watch Wolf there. Or one way of powering up Watch Wolf. You could take the 2-mana 3/3 and give it other abilities to make it powerful. But one way is just make those numbers humongous.
Hmm.
That's still a couple weeks away. We'll give people a warning when we're close to recording that episode, but I'd love to see a couple more cards in there. And feel free to get goofy with it. Sometimes with a design challenger, especially you make the pack, you're trying to make the perfect card. You can be a little more conceptual here. You can just start the conversation for us, and we'll take it from there on our green white thing there.
Don't be a perfectionist.
Yeah, yeah. Or I mean, feel free to be, but don't let it stop you. And another thing I want to point people towards, you heard a little bit about it on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, but Red Bay and Mono White Borders, Stars of Sinistera, that's their cool, like, movie themed. Like, it's got a bunch of different movie genres all smushed into one set. It's kind of futuristic because of that, but it's got a lot of other elements. They just kind of released a whole set that they worked on in just a month. And they've been talking about it. Red Bay's been doing Pack One, Pick One. So head over to that channel and participate with that too. But we've also got plenty of other sets, plenty of other things to participate in. So make sure to jump on the Discord. I think that'll be just about it for the podcast for the week. So hop on the Discord. That's where all the action is. Go to beaconofcreation.com. We got show notes there if you want to look at all the cards that we're mentioning. If we're talking about magic cards, often we're like lightning. We went through like 6 different ways to return a creature from your graveyard, all in like 2 minutes. So if you want a visual companion, we've got that up on the website. But what I really want to do is thank you for coming on, Kenna. This was great.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Anything you want to tell people about? Anything you want to plug?
Oh yeah, of course. Outside of Magic the Gathering, you might have been able to figure it out from the way I was speaking, but I do a bit of minor work in Australian leftist politics.
Oh, okay.
There's a YouTuber called Adu, and if you head to his Discord community, you can find me and other people over there just talking about that. So if you're in the intersection between those two communities, check us out. All
right, thank you. Yeah, I'll get that in the show notes. So would love to direct people towards that kind of cause. If you need to find either of us, like we said, Discord is the way to do that. I'm on Blue Sky as well. I've been kind of trying to build that out a little bit, but mostly find me on Discord. And then most of all, thanks so much for listening.